We would like to now call upon Mr. David Atkin, CEO of PRI, Principles for Responsible Development, for Keynote Speech. The title is The Global Landscape for Responsible Investment. Please welcome Mr. Atkin with a round of applause.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the Tokyo Sustainable Finance Forum team for having me here today. I'm David Atkin, CEO of the Principles for Responsible Investment, or PRI. I've had the pleasure of meeting and working with some of you already, but for those of you not familiar with the PRI, a quick introduction to frame the conversation. The PRI was formed in 2006 out of the UN system by a small but committed group of asset owners aiming to bring sustainability to capital markets. Today, we represent the global responsible investment community with nearly 5,500 signatories to our 6 principles, who collectively represent well over $120 trillion in AUM. Now, we work with signatories to consider environmental, social and governance factors when making investment decisions and influencing companies or assets, with an ultimate view to help create a sustainable global financial system. We've seen significant growth in recent years, and responsible investment has without doubt entered the mainstream of global financial practices. But this positive development does not mean our work is done. Far from it. In fact, it has become increasingly clear that we are not moving fast enough. With only 7 years left in our collective ambition to achieve the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, it's clear we need transformative, accelerated action. Economic progress and the financial returns it generates relies on the stability and resilience of natural and social systems. If these are under threat, so is present and future economic growth. The economic transition is a necessity to tackle the climate and environmental crisis while prioritising just societies. It's become increasingly urgent. It's become an increasingly urgent policy objective in many countries and within international forums. We need to see a whole-of-government approach to the economic transition, and it should go beyond the financial sector to include real economic policy. The risks of failing to achieve our goals are clear. The architecture of international climate treaties is still focused on 1.5, and our efforts as an industry must therefore remain consistent with this target. However, we are not on track to maintain this threshold on our current trajectory. This year alone, Japan recorded its hottest summer on record, as did the Northern Hemisphere as a whole. We have now breached 6 of our 9 planetary boundaries, and progress on many of the Sustainable Development Goals are in fact going backwards. So as we look ahead to COP28, the next global climate milestone, we need investors who are already contributing substantially to the goal of 1.5 to maintain their focus while ensuring an overall increase of investor action. But we also urgently need robust policy action in keeping with the Paris Agreement to keep the world on track. Increasing the universe of investable opportunities and the predictability of the environment in which investors operate will help investors reach their targets. And at the same time, we need to ensure we don't lose focus on other key challenges, from biodiversity loss to international armed conflict, macroeconomic imbalances, growing inequality, and public health risks. In short, the world is facing a multitude of crises, and all of them are interlinked. So we need to treat finance, the economy, and our environment, and our society as an interconnected system. We can't reach net zero without halting and reversing biodiversity loss, and we can't tackle biodiversity loss without addressing climate change. And for the transition to be effective, it needs to be fair in both its processes and outcomes, not exacerbating existing inequalities or creating new ones. It must be just. So really, I think it's fair to say that the task we have ahead of us as responsible investors is not an easy one. One way or another we can drive progress on all of these areas is to convene the global responsible investment community to work together. As many of you know, the PRI team has been here in Tokyo this week for our annual PRI in-person conference, and it was truly encouraging to hear the level of ambition throughout the discussions. It was our first time ever bringing the conference to Japan and our first time in Asia since 2016. And I think the warm welcome we received goes a long way to showcasing Japan's commitment to responsible investment. In Tokyo, I think we're witnessing the increasing momentum of sustainable finance in real time. Efforts are underway to create a shift towards economies, societies, and industrial structures centred on clean energy. We were honoured to be joined at PRI in person by the Prime Minister and the Governor of Tokyo. And the Financial Services Agency is moving forwards with a strong program of sustainable finance reforms and engaging closely with the PRI and our partners in their work. And so I was pleased to welcome the statement from the Ministry of Environment high-level panel on ESG finance earlier this week, which supports PRI efforts and our Investing for Sustainable Impact approach. It also promotes expanded adoption of ESG investment amongst Japanese long-term investors, such as with pension funds and life insurance companies. It's been fantastic to see that not only did PRI in person sell out, but it became part of a global meeting point for so many of other industry events this week, more than 50 in fact, including this Tokyo Sustainable Financial Forum. More than 120 Japanese investors have already joined us as signatories, making a public commitment to responsible investment. And it was wonderful to hear the Prime Minister announce that a further 7 public sector asset owners would also be joining the PRI. And beyond this week of action, PRI will be working to help maintain this momentum and collaboration here in Japan. Re-energising the partnership amongst all actors of the investment value chain is essential to ensure the necessary capital flows towards the SDGs. So we will be working in the coming months and years to help develop thriving, responsible investment ecosystems here in Japan, more widely in Asia and around the world. Now, I mentioned collaboration, and it's important to note that investors can't do this alone. Investors play just one role, although a very crucial one, in the ecosystem. Corporates must also step up and scale action across climate and human rights, ensuring sustainability is integrated within their organisation's business models and within CFO's mandates. Seeing corporates do this gives investors confidence their companies are truly understanding that sustainability is not a nice to have, but essential for businesses to stay relevant, resilient, and future-proof. And regulators globally must be unwavering in supporting investors to work together on systemic risk issues. Only when all actors in the value chain pull in the same direction can we overcome the systemic challenges that we face. So thank you for being here, for your attention and for your commitment to responsible investment. And thank you to the Sustainable Tokyo Financial Forum for inviting me here today. The work you're doing here is helping change the world. And on a final note, the theme of PRI in person this year is moving from commitments to action. I hope that this week's events will create the momentum for investors, regulators, and all of the financial sector stakeholders in Japan and globally to do just that. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much.